Sonic Forces levels are straight lines. Sonic Forces just hold forward to win. And Sonic Forces is like Subway Surfers. These are all common things you hear from people when they talk badly about Sonic Forces. Except maybe the last one, I made that one up. The point is, the consensus of the modern Sonic and Avatar stages is that they're dull and boring to replay. But while most people can say this, they usually don't really stop to think why the stages are the way they are. Sure, anybody can say, whoa, these stages are boring and they're shaped like lines. That must mean they're the same thing. But it takes a bit more brain power to realize why these stages aren't good for a Sonic game, or really any game. So, that's exactly what I'll be doing. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe with or without the bell on, as I'm trying to do weekly uploads that usually involve Sonic. First, we have to set the groundwork for what makes the 3D Sonic stage, and in particular a Boost Sonic stage, fun and engaging. What I feel is the most important is that said level should consistently be trying to take away your speed. In the Boost games, speed is basically given to you, so a level being built around reaction-based things and sometimes platforming sections is important when trying to maintain challenge. Another thing that should be a center of focus is how the levels handle automation. This should be kept in short bursts as a kind of break from high speeds. These sections should be, in my opinion, a few seconds at most, and shouldn't be relied on for level design, because, really, homing attack chains and huge loops aren't good level design. Okay, post-recording, I was actually trying to say huge loop. I don't know what I was saying there. This is something that I think Generations handles really well. The homing attack chains are kept to a minimum, and when they are present, they're short and usually tie into a greater platforming section. Another factor is alternate pathways. I think the best way to do these is as follows. They should be hidden, but not so hidden that you stumble upon them randomly. You should be able to spot them just out of the corner of your eye when boosting. This makes you think, well, I missed that, maybe I'll come back later and try getting to it. They should also be kinda challenging to get to. A good alternate pathway shouldn't have a long homing attack chain placed right in the middle of it, because 1, that makes it obvious, and 2, it completely throws out any skill that the player might have needed to get to it otherwise. An even greater alternate pathway is one that the player can almost completely skip on skilled playthroughs but can use to reach the main path faster, such as this one in Sky Sanctuary. Finally, the ranking system. I'll be honest, this should be really harsh and should only give good ranks to runs with a fast time and minimal mistakes. This is something that I think only Unleashed got right, but I won't go too in depth on it. The point is that Boost Sonic stages should be trying to take your speed away from you, have only little tidbits of automation, decent platforming that doesn't hinder Boost gameplay, make alternate pathways difficult but rewarding to get to, and have a harsh ranking system to top it all off. Now let's see where Forces lies in all this. I'll give you a bit of a spoiler, it doesn't do much right. Sonic Forces handles the boost horribly. Remember the days of Unleashed and Generations where the levels were partially reaction based but still had a fair amount of platforming? Yeah, well that's just gone here. The boost can be used uninterrupted for long segments of time without you needing any other inputs. Sure, there might be some platforming, but it's for 1, all in the 2D sections, and 2, some of the most bare bones platforming in any game that has ever been considered a platformer. And if that wasn't enough, most of these sections should be cut down significantly by air boosting across the whole thing. That's not an air boost, that's just flying. Now, what makes this even worse is the boost barely ever runs out. But why is that, might you ask? After all, this game uses Wisp for boost, and in Sonic Colors, it was really easy to just run out of it. Well, the answer is really simple. Sonic Forces gives you more Wisp capsules. In Sonic Colors, boost was given to you here and there all throughout the level, and you were expected to use it wisely. In Sonic Forces, boost is given basically every other second. The best analogy I can give is bringing your phone on a long trip with and without a charger. Without a charger, you have to take into consideration how long you'll be gone, and you'll need to ration your usage accordingly. But if you've got a charger, why does it matter? Use your phone as much as you want, you'll never run out of battery. It doesn't help that enemies now give you boost, and a lot of it at that. Honestly, you could switch the way you gain boost from wisps to rings and it wouldn't make any difference. And when all the stages are designed like this, there's no challenge. The long stretches of pure boosting are a prime example of this, which coincides with the next factor, automation. I think the start of Luminous Force is a great demonstration of how Sonic Forces handles automation. And I think what's even worse is that there's more levels that play exactly like this. Take the first level in the whole game. What do you do for the first 20 seconds? You hold the run button, watch Sonic go on this dash pad, get a boost, and then only after that do you get your first ounce of challenge. And even then it's not difficult. Then there's Sunset Heights, which is a level that takes place a little later in the game, so you'd expect a bit more of a difficulty spike. What do you mean you run with nothing in your way for 10 seconds again? Let's take a look at the Sonic and Avatar team-up stage, Null Space, which is kind of ironic considering Null Space is only in the level for like 10 seconds, you know? Can you guess what you do for the first 10 seconds? if you said run in a straight line, you'd only be halfway correct, because you actually do a Q to E right before it, which doesn't even matter because the same thing happens even if you fail. Then, there's how this game handles enemies. Surprisingly, there aren't many homing attack chains placed on the main pathways. Besides Null Space and Mortar Canyon, there aren't many examples of these that I could think of off the top of my head. No. How Forces mainly utilizes enemies is by placing them on ground along normal pathways. Now, normally, this wouldn't be a problem. After all, Unleashed in Generations did that sometimes, so it should be fine, right? Well, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, along with there being no variation in enemy types throughout the whole story, the enemies never fight back. Correction, they can never fight back if you're boosting. And with the boost hardly ever running out, these enemies feel more like dull set pieces than they do obstacles. Pair this with an unholy amount of loops, dash pads, and springs, and you've got yourself the most automated Sonic game in the series. I can see why they named the mobile running game after Forces. After all, the level design is almost 1-to-1. Moving on to perhaps the best part of the boost stages in other games, the alternate pathways. But of course, Sonic Forces completely drops the ball in this department. Most of these paths are incredibly easy to get to for a couple of reasons. For one, these paths are easy to spot. Whereas other boost games like Generations, where there's usually a divergence of 3 or more paths in one big section, Sonic Forces usually only has one alternate pathway, and usually, it's right on top of the other one. They also require almost no skill to get to. Most of them are reached through homing attack chains, and the ones that don't aren't much better either. I think a perfect example of this is in Luminous Forest. You can either continue down this automated slope, or, for the low price of 3 consecutive homing attacks, you can reach another path. There's also the fact that these alternate paths are almost always super easy to maintain. Going back to that path in Luminous Forest, the only thing you need to do to stay on that after landing is hold the boost. Another example is Sunset Heights, where there's this homing attack chain that leads into a zipline. Back to back to back to back automation. Let's compare this to another boost stage from Generations, Seaside Hill. Right from the beginning, you're faced with 4 pathways. The fastest one will have you jumping off this ledge, boosting on water, and navigating through this loop until you reach a cannon. Already, that's more creativity and level design than is in the entirety of Forces. After a brief moment of cannon automation, you homing attack a couple of enemies and wall bounce before reaching the main path again. Do you see the difference? There's many points in this path where you can risk either running out of boost or falling off the path entirely. Looking back at Luminous Forest with its mindless homing attack chain and boost pathway, there's no comparison. But if Sonic Forces doesn't have good level design, it gives you perpetual boost, it's gotta at least have a strict ranking system to back everything up, right? By default, Sonic Forces has objectively the worst ranking game in the series. This system had been on the downfall ever since Unleashed debatably, with Generations basically killing it, but Forces was the nail in the coffin. But first, let's take a look at what it does right.
There's nothing.
You know the ranking system is bad when 8-year-old me was consistently S-ranking stages on my first playthrough. I think as long as you beat a stage in under 3 minutes, which isn't hard to do since these stages are shorter than Green Hill Act 1, you've got a guaranteed S-rank. I mean, there's not much else I can really say. At least Generations required a perfect bonus for an S. So, now you can say Sonic Forces is a straight line simulator without having no evidence to back it up. This game was just disappointing, man. It doesn't help that this was my first introduction to 3D Sonic. Thank God the movies got me back into this franchise. That's all. Like and subscribe. Maybe a video drops next week on Saturday at 9 AM Pacific, or maybe it doesn't. Just come back in case. Bye!